He came in a car just like the rest of us. And when everyone died, I saw him. He was eating her.
The episode 4 teaser for From just dropped, and I need to talk about it right now, because what they just showed us, in what is maybe a 90-second clip, is the darkest, most lore-heavy thing this show has ever put in a promo. We are talking about Julie Matthews' story walking. We are talking about her watching, with her own eyes, the man in yellow feeding on the bodies of the dead. And we are talking about Victor, a man who has spent 50 years trying to convince himself that none of it was real, now having to face the fact that Julie is about to witness exactly what he survived as a child. I've been covering this show since season 1, and I have never been this locked in before an episode drops. So let's get into it. I'm breaking down every single shot in this teaser, what it means, what the lore tells us, and the theory that I think ties all of it together. Before we get to the massacre moment, and we will get there, let me quickly set up where we are heading into episode 4, because episode 3 did a lot of work and we need to carry it forward. Episode 3, Merrily We Go, ended on 3 devastating notes. Boyd is at Abby's grave when a skeletal hand bursts through the soil and grabs him, trying to drag him under. He survives, but the township just made it deeply personal in a way it hasn't before. Victor completely breaks down in the woods when he finds the man in yellow's discarded yellow suit, the exact suit he shed when he transformed into Sophia. And Sophia herself, who we as the audience know is the man in yellow in disguise, decides at the end of the episode to move in with Sara. And if you watched that moment and felt a chill, good, that chill is correct. Episode 4 is titled Of Myths and Monsters. That title is pulling serious weight, because the teaser is telling us that in this episode, the myth becomes real, in front of Julie's eyes, in the worst possible way. In the teaser, we see Julie go back to the ruins, and what she sees the man in yellow doing to the bodies of the dead, he is feeding on them. Now let's put that in full context, because this isn't just shock value, this is lore defining. Julie is a story walker. She has the ability to move through time, to step into past events and witness them as if she's there. She's been trying all season to control that ability because right now she can't aim it. The town decides what she sees. She goes into the ruins and gets pulled into whatever moment the town wants to show her. And this time, the town shows her the beginning, because the ruins Julie walks into, those are old. We're not talking about something that happened last season. Victor's family was in a previous iteration of this town, the massacre that Victor survived as a child, the one that killed his mother Miranda and his sister Eloise, happened decades ago. The creatures, those nocturnal monsters that have been hunting people since season 1, made a deal. They sacrificed their own children in exchange for immortality. The man in yellow gave them something. He traded power for sacrifice. And what we're seeing in this massacre vision is the other side of that same transaction. Because the man in yellow doesn't give power away for free. He takes something in return, and what he takes is the energy, the life force, the essence of the dead. Every massacre this town has ever seen, every cycle of residents trapped and killed, has been feeding him. The town is not just a prison, it is a feeding machine, and the man in yellow built it. Now let's talk about Victor, because what Julie is about to witness in episode 4, Victor already saw as a child. Victor Kavanaugh is the only survivor of the original massacre. His mother, Miranda, was killed. His sister, Eloise, was killed. And 8-year-old Victor was left alone in that town for over 40 years. Let that sink in. 40 years alone, with whatever he saw that night locked inside him. In episode 3, when Victor found the man in yellow's discarded suit in the woods, the exact suit the man in yellow shed when he became Sophia, he completely collapsed. He wet himself. He ran. He kept repeating that he'd convinced himself it wasn't real. And that line, that specific line, is the most important thing Victor has said in 4 seasons of this show. Because what he was trying to make himself forget wasn't just the existence of the man in yellow, it was what the man in yellow did. He saw the feeding as a child, and the only way he survived psychologically was to spend the next 50 years telling himself it was a nightmare. And now Julie is going to walk into that exact moment. She's going to see what 8-year-old Victor saw, the thing he's been running from his entire life. Now, in the episode 4 teaser, we see something just as significant. Victor showing his father Henry a painting, and Henry starts having headaches. This connects directly to something we established in Season 3. Victor's mother Miranda had visions of the township before she was ever trapped there. She painted what she saw, and one of those paintings depicts the man in yellow. Henry has seen these paintings. He lived with them. He watched his wife obsess over them. He's known what they represent for decades, even if he never fully believed her. So when Victor shows Henry a painting in this teaser and Henry's body physically reacts, headaches, pain, some kind of physical response, what's happening is that Henry isn't just processing grief anymore. He's coming into contact with something real. Miranda wasn't having visions. She was receiving transmissions. She was connected to the town the same way Sara has been connected to it. And Henry, by proximity to Miranda, by being the husband of a woman who was always going to be pulled back into this cycle, may be more tied to the mythology of this place than anyone has realized. The town is reacting to him getting too close, and it is not happy about it. Let's talk about Jade, because what he's about to do in episode 4 is potentially the most significant thing he's done in the entire run of the show. At the end of episode 3, Jade found mushrooms in the woods, right after Victor broke down at the yellow suit. And Jade being Jade, he immediately recognized what they were and what he was going to do with them. He's been trying all season to unlock the memories of his past incarnations. Meditation hasn't worked. The town keeps interrupting him. So he's going full psychedelic. The teaser confirms it. We see him taking those shrooms in episode 4. Here's why this matters on a lore level. Jade, in his previous incarnation, was Christopher, and Christopher, along with Miranda, who was Tabitha's past self, was one of the 2 people in the original group of residents who refused to sacrifice their children. Everyone else made that deal with the man in yellow. They gave up their children, they became the monsters, they traded their humanity for immortality. Christopher and Miranda said no. They tried to protect those children. They failed. But they were reincarnated over and over again. Every cycle, a new version of Jade and a new version of Tabitha. Trying again, always failing, but always getting closer. If Jade unlocks Christopher's memories through this trip, he doesn't just get access to a past life, he gets access to the original moment. He potentially remembers what the man in yellow looked like before he had the power he has now. He might remember the terms of the deal, the specific conditions of the bargain that gave the creatures their immortality, and somewhere in those terms, somewhere in that original contract, might be exactly the information needed to void it. But here's the thing worth sitting with. And I keep coming back to this. Jade found those mushrooms in the woods right where Victor had his breakdown, right near the yellow suit. The town doesn't give you things by accident. Everything in the township has a reason. So ask yourself, are those mushrooms a gift or are they bait? Because knowledge comes at a cost, and that cost has already taken Jim Matthews. The man in yellow has been very clear that he punishes people for getting too close to the truth. Jade is about to get as close as anyone has ever gotten. In the teaser, we see Sara screaming, hearing voices, completely overwhelmed by them, and Sophia is nearby. This is not a coincidence, this is a chess move. Sophia chose to move in with Sara at the end of episode 3 with a very specific purpose. Because Sara is the most vulnerable person in that town right now. She's already a pariah. People already don't trust her. She did things while being manipulated by voices. She acted on instructions she thought were coming from something real, something connected to the town. And she has spent seasons living with the consequences of those actions. The entire community views her with suspicion. She is, as far as the man in yellow is concerned, the perfect leaver. Sara's connection to the town's voices goes all the way back. She's been receiving transmissions, painful, invasive, physically agonizing transmissions, since before the Matthews family ever arrived. The voices told her to kill people. She listened. The town has been using her as a weapon against herself and against everyone around her for years, and now the man in yellow has moved in right next to her. What I think is happening is that Sophia isn't just living near Sara. Sophia is amplifying the signal. The man in yellow can project these voices, or at the very minimum, he can intensify them. Having Sara in the same space as the source means Sara's torture isn't just continuing. It's being weaponized in real time. The goal isn't to break Sara specifically, it's to make Sara do something, act out, attack someone, spiral in a way that the whole town can witness, that Sophia can then use to crack the community's trust in each other even further. And remember what Sophia said in episode 1, right before she killed the pastor. She said, "This is my favorite part. Want to know why? This is when they tear themselves apart." That line is the man in yellow's entire philosophy. He doesn't need to destroy the town from the outside. He gets the town to destroy itself from within. Sara is the accelerant. And in episode 4, it looks like he's about to light the match. All right, here is where everything lands, because I think the episode 4 teaser is showing us one coherent picture. And that picture is this. The man in yellow is not just a villain who controls the town. He sustains himself through the town. He feeds on death. We see that now in the massacre. He feeds on sacrifice. The creatures gave him their children. He feeds on suffering. Every cycle of residents trapped and broken and torn apart is feeding something in him. The town isn't a prison he built out of cruelty. It is a machine he built to eat. And every single character we're watching right now is living inside that machine. Julie, as a story walker, is the first person in the history of this town who can actually go back and witness what the machine was designed to do. She can see the original massacre. She can watch him feed. And that means she could potentially find the moment before the machine existed, the moment when the original bargain was first struck, and understand the terms of the deal, because every contract has terms, and somewhere in those terms there is a way out. Jade's memories as Christopher might hold that exit. Miranda's paintings, which Henry is now looking at alongside Victor, might contain it too. And Sara, who has been receiving transmissions from the town since before any of this started, might have been hearing something she could never fully decode, because the man in yellow has always been close enough to distort the signal. But what happens when Sara's voices start telling her something about Sophia? What happens when the town's signal starts trying to warn her about the thing living in the same room as her? That is what episode 4 is setting up. The myth becoming real, Julie seeing what the man in yellow truly is, and the town, for the first time, starting to point its own people toward the truth instead of away from it. The title is Of Myths and Monsters. And I think by the end of this episode, we're going to find out that in Fromville, the myth and the monster are the same thing. They always have been. Episode 4 drops May 10th on MGM Plus. I will have the full breakdown up the same night, and be subscribed so you don't miss it. Drop your theories in the comments. Specifically this, what do you think the man in yellow gets from feeding on the dead? Is it sustenance? Is it power? Is it something tied specifically to the souls of the people in the town? Because I have thoughts on that, and I want to see if the community is landing in the same place I am. I'll see you Sunday night.